Welcome to today's Dharma Dialogues. We're filming live from Koh Noi, and today we are sending you good vibrations.
Good vibrations.
Good vibrations. And this is something, I mean, that song came out in the 60s. Like, people have been talking about...
Classic Beach Boys song.
It's a great song. I
mean,
people have been talking about vibrations for decades, but we want to dive into what does that actually mean. So I think that the best place to start is, what does it mean that we live in a vibratory universe? What does it mean that everything is vibrating?
Yeah.
I mean, in physics, we understand that everything has a frequency, everything has an oscillation, including our own physical bodies. And it's beholden to us to understand that good vibration, which is what we're talking about, is a higher vibration that we're oscillating in our energetic field. We are the product of a biomagnetic field, and typically through yoga practices we tend to build that energetic field. The energetic field gets powerful, it gets wider, it gets more dense, but also we increase the velocity that we're vibrating at. So that's the vibration. And so when we say there's a good vibration, it means that somebody is vibrating at a very high frequency and they're almost like shining a light. And you can feel a light energy about the person, the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, the Krishna consciousness, you know? Very, very high vibration, very rarefied soul energy, very high spiritual energy. And it has an aura to it, it has a radiance to it. And we go, oh, good vibration. That's what the Beach Boys must have been singing about. Although they're really singing about surfing and girls.
Which has a Christ consciousness.
Which has its own California Christ consciousness.
Well, I think that's something interesting, though, that even for people that aren't at that level yet, people are aware of energy. Like, you know if someone has a good vibe. You know if a place has a good vibe or a bad vibe.
Yeah.
What does it mean to feel that? Like, what is it that we're actually...
It's an intuition. I mean...
I believe now they have instruments, electronic instruments that can read energetic fields. So they can say the magnetic field that radiates from the heart can go out and around you for up to a 3-meter radius. Mm-hmm. And the electrical field from the brain goes about 1 meter. So they can actually feel and measure these vibrations now, but to us it's an intuition. To most people you feel it. You go into an area maybe and you're like, that doesn't feel so good. It doesn't. Maybe an area of a town where there's drugs and fairly a lower vibration of life. And you're like, maybe I don't need to go down there. And so you go and find somewhere that's got the higher vibration, where the health food cafes are and the good music and the smart people. So just good vibration, feeling a good vibration. And the other side of that coin is creating a good vibration, isn't it? You create a good vibration, and this is also true. You're responsible for your vibration. So when you do the work, when you do the self-improvement work, the self-empowerment work, and you raise your vibration, people notice you and you become attractive. You become attractive in an energetic sense, and people gravitate towards you. And again, they don't know why. They just go, oh, I like that person. They feel good. There's a good vibe about that person. They feel very welcoming and opening and knowledgeable and safe to be around, So again, you're attracted to that, and other people are attracted to you, and that's really how we are. And it also has its own protective mechanisms. When you're at a very high vibratory rate, the lower energies can't get in. So it could be lower energy people, it could be lower energy bacterias that are around. The COVID-19, if you're at a really high vibration, it doesn't have that much chance of getting in because it just doesn't vibrate at your frequency. It can't get in. You lower your vibration and your energetic field goes down, and your immune system, which is part of it, goes back down, and then the bugs and the bacteria can get in. And not only the physical bugs and bacteria, but the psychic bugs and bacteria can get in. So people thinking not the highest thoughts, as well as the physical bugs can get in. So you raise your vibration, you not only get a strong physical presence towards you, but you get a very powerful psychological presence as well.
What decides if something has a high vibration or a lower vibration? Because I mean, for me, a lot of my practice recently, I'm dealing with some grief, has been like learning how to sit with my sadness and understanding that sadness is actually okay. But it also, in my mind, that would be a lower vibration. So is there some good that comes from lower vibration, or how do we decide what vibrations to invite into our life?
I think, for every individual has their own capacities, has their own ceilings, and the bottoms and the tops of where they can go. And as a yogi through your life, one of the main parts of your work as yogis is to raise the ceiling of your vibration, raise your capacity for going higher. And the higher you go, and this is a direct correlation, the higher you go in your vibration, the more conscious you become. A lower vibration is usually not a very intelligent. It's not very conscious. It can be very unconscious, in fact. And it's a low-grade vibration that's not really going to take you anywhere. You could say a dark or negative vibration that's going to be self-sabotaging. But the more that you raise your vibration, you raise your energy through good diet, through exercise, through good relationships, through meaningful, purposeful careers, just through good practices in general in life. You raise your energy, you become more attractive, but you also become more intelligent. You just wake up. You become more conscious of who you are, how you are reacting, or how you're interacting with the universe, and where you're going. You can see and understand who you are and where you're going, what your place in life is, and you can make plans, you can make intentions and start manifesting things. You can't do that at a lower vibration. It's not what it's there for. The lower vibration is really, if we would say it in yoga, the lower vibration is the 3 lower chakras. They're survival on planet Earth. In an okay sense, but they're survival. And so you're living more in the material world. It's a lower vibration, it's a material. The energetics are slowing down and it's material man.
But it's still necessary.
It's part of life.
Survival is...
You've got to go shopping, you've got to put a roof over your head, you've got to pay the rent. So this is, you're quite right, this is a necessary part. We can't be space cadets, on high planes of existence all the time. I mean, we can be, and we will manifest and everything will be taken care of at that level. But it's not really realistic for most people. So what we find is that we're cruising the wave of vibration. We have to cruise that wave, and we have to make sure that when we're on the peaks of the wave that we're getting our best work done. We're doing our meditations, we're doing our intentions, we're cultivating our relationships, we're doing our creative work, that's at the peak. And then we parts of the day, parts of the week, parts of the month, parts of the year, it's all a circadian rhythm. We'll go a little bit down, and we have to take care of planetary business. We have to earn a living and put food on the table and put the roof over our head and do all the more mundane things. And that's a reality as well. And like I said, if there's any psychological issues, if you've got some grieving to do or some healing work to do, you acknowledge that, and then you pick it up and you raise the vibration and you carry on again.
That's the surfing at the beach place.
That's the surfing. Right? That's the surfing. Get the wave.
But make sure you start catching higher and higher waves and you stay at the peak of the wave because the view is better up there.
These are good analogies. I think it's helpful. And I think in terms of making it more tangible in terms of a yoga practice, what is that relationship? Like, how does yoga actually affect our vibration?
Exactly.
Physically, asana. As soon as you start doing the physical exercise, your energy goes up. You don't feel sluggish, you don't feel slouchish, you feel more alive. Just by physical exercise. You could go for a run, a bike ride, swimming, whatever it is, But the yoga takes care of that in asana. And then you combine it with the breath work, pranayama, and that really raises your vibration. You're getting all that pranic energy in, and your vibration goes to another level. And your consciousness goes to another level. Your mind opens, and you start seeing and understanding where to go and what to do, which I've already said. And then we'll go into Bhakti yoga, maybe the yoga of devotion and sound and singing, higher vibration again. Starts with Om, Om Mani Padme Om, Hari Om, Om Namah Shivaya, classic mantras From any tradition, Christian mantras, Muslim mantras, Hindu mantras, doesn't matter, Judaic mantras, we raise our vibration even higher through sound, And then the ultimate, and this is the hardest one, and maybe not for a lot of people, the highest vibration is in silence, in meditation. When you can actually get through the practice of yoga, through the asanas, the pranayama, the bhakti, the sound, and then finally get to the royal yoga, the Raj yoga, meditation, that's actually the highest vibration. But it's harder to attain, so maybe we don't go there today with that one. But meditation is the key. And maybe we will just touch on it, and we've said this quite a few times before in the Dharma Dialogues. Going to silence is going behind that 60 to 70,000 thoughts. And the 60 to 70,000 thoughts that we think every day lower our vibration. They simply lower our vibration. So if we get those thoughts from 60 down to 30, down to 15,000 thoughts a day, our vibration goes up. We have more energy, we have more clarity, we have more focus and purpose. We see where we're going, we're more intelligent, we're more alive, we're more awake, we're more conscious. Our vibration's going up. Going into silence is a very powerful way to increase the vibration.
I think the thing that draws me to vibration as a spiritual practice or as a healing practice is that it's a physics-based science, and ultimately our atoms are vibrating, the atoms of the universe are vibrating. So in my mind, are we working toward an alignment with universal vibration?
Yeah.
Or is that what Dharma is? Is there a physical aspect to...
You could say it's Dharma. Dharma is your purpose.
Your purpose in life. And as we go through our yoga journey, we should always be upping the game. So at a very fundamental level, we raise our vibration, we do the work, we do our dieting, we get up earlier in the morning, we have more intention, we have more discipline, take more responsibility for who we are and where we're going. We're not playing the victim anymore. That game is done. Right. So we have to take responsibility. And then we raise the vibration. And when we raise the vibration and we wake up and we decide, that's where we want to go, and we make the intention, and we talked about this last week, then we have to find a sympathetic match, a cohesion with the vibration in the universe. So we're like the microcosm, and that's the macrocosm out there. And we have to find an entry level into that intelligent universe. So first we raise our own vibration, and then we say, okay, now we're available for potentials to come into our life, for opportunities to come in, because we've raised our energy. And the universe, the intelligent universe which we live in, will give us the completely exact calibrated vibration that we're oscillating at as an opportunity. We raise our game a little higher, and the universe goes, okay, now you qualify at this level, and you'll get a more rarefied, a higher quality opportunity. You drop your vibration down, and the universe will go, well, that's okay as well, if you want to go at a lower level, and it'll give you opportunities at that level. But of course, once you've tasted the nectar of very high quality opportunities and what they manifest, that's all that you really want. And that's part of the purpose of life. The Dharma and the purpose of life on planet Earth is to realize your highest potential. We're spiritual beings having a human experience on this planet, and our soul comes here in order to evolve. Our soul nature is our vibration. That's where it starts, in pure consciousness, and that pure consciousness going via the mind notifies the biological body that it has to animate itself, and it has to get fit and healthy, and it has to go to a higher vibratory level. And it's that interaction between the biological body and then the psychological body, which also has a vibratory, your mind has a vibratory quality to it as well. So you've got to lift the quality of your mind, and then the soul acknowledges it. The soul is spinning then at a higher, so it's all three, isn't it? It's body, mind, soul. All three spinning at a higher vibration, and then those three enter into the intelligent universe and extract the opportunities from it. And they qualify from it. The universe cannot deny you. Once you're oscillating at a certain frequency, you slide in. You enter into the unified field, and whatever is vibrating at your oscillation, your frequency, is available to you. You can draw from that level. you know? And that's quite a sophisticated practice of yoga. To really understand and cultivate that and make that successful is a very high quality yoga. But that's where we should be going.
I think in a more
and now's the time to start it.
That's all right.
We have the time to really work on building our vibrations and working with this unified field to start manifesting amazing opportunities and potentials in our life. And the beautiful thing is that once you've manifested 2 or 3 things consciously, you realize that you're becoming the architect of your destiny, and that gives you confidence. And there's nothing better than confidence in your life when you know, without any ego, without any pride, that you can start manifesting things if you simply put the work in.
And you watch the universe working with you and being sympathetic to your needs and giving you what you need. There's a big aha moment comes and go, that's the formula. It's called positivity. You know, you're becoming more positive, more creative, more willing to go into the unknown, more courageous. It takes courage, it takes fearlessness, it takes discipline, it takes responsibility. But once you go there and you start working with that formula, you raise your vibration, you put it out there into the unified field, and it gives it back. You go, wow, this stuff really works. I do live in an intelligent universe, and it is sympathetic to my needs because I'm part of it. You know, we actually are part of it. It's a oneness. You're becoming part of the unified whole, as opposed to being separate, as opposed to being dual, you know? So raising, and the highest level, and this is what they would call Shiva, in, you know, Shiva Shakti. Shiva is the highest vibration, the highest chakra vibration, and that's where you are at oneness. You become whole, you become, there's no separation between you and the highest levels of vibration in the universe. There's nothing you can't manifest.
Well, and I think in a more tangible way in daily life, this is where unattachment really comes into play too. Because if we are attached to pain and suffering, then we're going to attract pain and suffering. If we're attached to, you know, higher things, I mean, maybe that's still a good or a bad thing. But I mean, even from a psychological standpoint, they always say, you know, we are always trying to prove ourselves right. And if we think that, you know, people are always going to hurt us, then we're going to always be proven right. And if we have confidence that we're taken care of and supported and can manifest, then we'll find ways to prove ourselves right with that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stepping out of that victim mentality to a certain degree. And it's also stepping out of that addictive emotion mentality. Because a lot of us are conditioned by our past experiences. You know, we have memories of those past experiences. And any time that we get into a life situation that has even a 1% quota of familiarity with that previous experience, it triggers an old emotion, and we completely surrender to that old conditioned behavior of going into, it always happens to me like this, you know, I'm so unlucky, or whatever it is. And we start reliving the old memories and the old traumas, which generate all of the feelings from there, which generate the hormones of stress, which actually, to begin with, feed us. They give us an adrenaline rush. They give us an artificial, almost like a junkie would have a rush from drugs. It gives us a feeling of high, and it gives us a feeling of being alive and giving purpose just for a moment, and then it's gone. And you're back in the old cycle, and you've lost the energy, you know? So a lot of us need to break out of that old conditioned behavior, and we would call it samskaras. The old samskaras no longer serve us. We become conscious of that behavior, and we don't allow it anymore. And we say, thank you, but no thank you. I can't afford your emotions anymore. The emotions that keep tripping us up and lowering our energy, lowering our vibration, doesn't work for us anymore. So we have to learn to get past that old conditioned behaviors and introduce new samskaras, new higher quality, higher energy, higher vibration habits. And we form those habits through the practice of yoga, through conscious living, and they become our unconscious, you know, they become our unconscious way of being. But it's a higher vibration and consciousness, and it has a higher quota of consciousness to it. And there's many, you know, there's many other avenues that we explore. And I would always say, and I said this a little earlier, there's I find there's three main environments in life that have a very powerful impact on the vibratory world we live in. One of them is the relationships we have. Good relationships really push your vibration up. They're meaningful, they're loving, they're nurturing, they're sustaining. Bad relationships can suck the life force right out of you very quickly, So again, we have to take responsibility for the quality of our relationships. Our careers, number two. Again, a good career, going forward, doing something meaningful, having real purpose in your life in sense of your creativity and your career, that really does raise your vibration. There's almost nothing better than getting out of bed every morning and going, wow, I've got all this great work to do, and you go and do it. It doesn't matter what it is, everybody's unique and has their unique times. But equally, if you go into a dead-end job, 9 till 5, 5 days a week, 48 weeks a year, that again sucks the life force right out of you, just kills all the vibration. So careers. And then finally, the environment you live in. And again, we're all unique to our environments, but you've got to find an environment that's conducive to you gaining a higher vibration. I couldn't live in a city. I can't stay in a city for more than 24 hours. My vibration just goes down. I don't know how to deal with it because there's no nature there. There's nothing that I can connect to that I consider for me a higher vibration, and it starts to draw the energy out of me, and I can't do much about it, no matter what I do. Unless I'm going to a big yoga gathering, but you don't usually get those in the middle of a city, So some people are city oriented and they thrive in city culture. Other people, more like me, thrive in nature culture. You have to look at and it's not always because you used to live there. It served you then, maybe when you were a teenager in your 20s and you lived in exciting cities, and they really fed you. Maybe when you're in your 30s or 40s, they don't serve you anymore. So again, you have to come back to the present moment and see what serves you now. In relationship, what serves you now? In your career, what serves you now? In environments, what serves you now? And I always feel those three are the big three. They're the ones that if you take care of those three, all the other things really have a minor quality to them. You can get past the other things, but you can't get past the big three.
And again, I think what's interesting about this is that so much of this is science too. Like being in nature is proven to lower your blood pressure and have amazing physical benefits. Obviously, any psychologist will talk about the relationships that we have or the work that we're doing. Yeah. I'm curious about the relationship between vibration and disease. This is something we had talked about a little bit. And it makes sense for me that if every part of us is vibrating, that disease would affect our vibrations. It's a physical part of our nature. So what is that? How does vibration turn against us in that sense?
The great pioneer in that field right now is what we're all talking about right now is Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he's proving over the last few years through the practice of neuroscience more than anything else that the more that people can get into a very high vibratory rate, and this is especially through meditation, and they have to go to 5-day retreats with him and learn very specific ways to regulate their brain chemistry and regulate their brain waves. And he teaches them how to go from beta to alpha to theta to delta to gamma brainwave oscillations. And in doing that, their whole vibratory rate goes up and up and up. Their whole vibratory rate in their body goes up, and it goes up to such a fantastic level. And they're measuring this with lifetime video brain scans, so they can see the microvoltages that are being generated. And the normal microvoltages in the brain are between 10 and 60 microvolts, and these people are going to 4 million microvolts, So there's such a very high electrical charge going on there. There's such a high vibration that they're starting to dissolve tumors. They're starting to heal nervous disorders like MS and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. The list is endless. So go to YouTube, go to Joe Dispenza, listen to some of his lectures. They're all very easy to understand, only 10 to 15 minutes. But he really talks there about lower vibration disease, dis-ease, when you're in the 3 lower chakras and you're in low-grade stress. And a lot of city people live in low-grade stress for years and years on end. And eventually that low-grade stress will create toxic hormones the release of toxic hormones over a period of years eventually downregulate the genes. And when the genes get downregulated, disease comes in. You know, you upregulate the genes through good, healthy diet, purposeful careers, meaningful relationships, healthy environments, and good yoga practices. The whole thing goes up. You have beneficial hormonal releases, upregulates the genes, health, pure health. So that's pure science now, and that's Joe Dispenza.
And this is what a lot of energy healing is based around too.
Exactly.
Like the idea of
Same
sound
thing.
healing is sending sound vibrations
Yeah.
into the body. I mean, Reiki, so many of these practices are based on this idea. And it's funny that, I mean, this is something that they've been talking about for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like Om is literally about affecting that vibratory quality in the body.
Yeah.
And I think Om is such a relatable thing for people too. Like, what is actually happening then when we introduce that sound or certain sounds or vibrations into the body?
Well, like you said, the first thing to say on that is that when we go to a third party, when we go to a healer, to me that's like a kickstart. If you're not finding enough energy in your own system through your own mind, body, soul connection, that you're not raising the vibration fast enough, that you're seeing tangible results and you're getting out of the fog, as it were, then you go and see a healer, you know. And the healer is usually, like you said, it's a hands-on healing of Reiki or Seiki. It could be sound instruments, singing bowls and gongs and things like that. And what they're doing, they're bringing a high-quality vibration into your energy field, and they're dragging your energy field up. They're increasing your vibratory rate, and it's an artificial stimulus, you know. But it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. You have to pay for it, usually, you know. And these people are skilled, and they've put many years into learning how to do this. But they're tapping their higher vibration energy technology into your energetic field and raising your vibration for a short period of time. They're giving you a respite, and they're giving you a breathing space so that you can see and feel. You're like, oh, this is what it feels like to be in a high vibration. It feels good. Your mind, your body, everything feels really nice, and you've got to emulate that naturally yourself. You've got to replicate it yourself. So you walk away from the healer, you feel good for a while, and then sometimes you'll keep the vibration at that level. Usually you'll drop down a few notches and you'll go back and pay for some more to begin with. And then you realize after a while, I have to be able to sustain this in my own practices. And then you learn through the practices of yoga, which, what we just said, asana pranayama starts the game going. But then when you start with the higher yogas, the higher vibratory yogas, the sound yogas, you start with Om. And just the practice of Om, just that creates a higher vibration. And your whole energetic being starts to dance to that tune. And you get a cohesion. You get a harmony between all parts of your cellular body and your mind body as well. It starts to come into harmony. It starts to come into sync, you know? And it stays in sync if you can keep that going. You know, so you keep that practice going of sound, vibration, and everybody can do Om or Om Namah Shivaya. Or one of my favorites right now is Hari Om. You just say Hari Om. You know, you can have the tuning fork, you can have the little gong there to set the tone. You know, but that for me is a very, very powerful way to do it every day in a quite effortless way, and it gets very beautiful. And it feels very creative, and it feels very nurturing. And maybe the other way is to create the sacred space. You create the sacred space, keep it clean, light the candles, have the incense, have the altar. If you believe in Buddha or Krishna or Christ, put that there as well, you know, because it'll give you something to represent a higher quality vibration, the Christ consciousness. And do your practices in that sacred space. And that sacred space will feed you, and you will feed that sacred space. You know, the cleaner you keep it and the more that you put energy into that area, that sacred space will gain its own higher vibration. And that's what we feel. We go into powerful temples and powerful mosques and powerful churches, cathedrals, you know. They've had hundreds, sometimes thousands of years of prayer power. And you can feel that prayer power. You know, you can feel, you go in and you go, wow, is a very high vibration in here. A lot of the Hindu temples in India, and a lot of the Buddhist temples, and even the Christian cathedrals, very, very high vibrations. So that's because over hundreds and thousands of years, thousands, millions of people have put high vibrations in there through prayer and meditation and sound.
I mean, it's interesting for me, a lot of yoga teachers are afraid of using Om or using mantras because there's this spiritual connotation to it. But I noticed for me, even early in my yoga practice...
Do you mean a religious connotation?
A religious connotation. It's, I mean, for some people, spirituality has
we
a
always
religious
say, we always say,
connotation.
don't confuse spirituality with religion.
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah.
But I always noticed for me that when we started a class with Om or when we would start with mantras, it would really affect my practice because there's something about it that really anchors you into your body.
Yeah. It sets the tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sets the vibration at a higher level.
Just to begin with, you know, if you start a class out with Om and it's just 3 Oms, everybody gets into harmony, everybody gets into sync, everybody gets into a cohesion, and it's a higher vibration. So you're starting straight away, just by the practice of 3 Oms, you're already going to a different level. It feels good and it is good, you know. So that's the proof of it. And the proof, you don't have to think it through, you have to feel it. This is a something in your cellular body that you allow those high vibrations to come in, and it just ignites everything. You know, you go to a different level of consciousness, of awareness, of frequency straight away. Yeah. Even having plants. You put plants in, have a cat in your house. Cats often bring, you know, very peculiar, cats often bring quite a high quality vibration. Yeah.
I was going to ask, you had mentioned earlier the 3 big things that will affect our vibration. And I know you had also mentioned that most people naturally have a sense of intuition around good vibrations. What are things we can be doing to build that intuition and to have better inner knowing around what are the right things to invite into our lives?
The first thing is silence. You have to build a sensitivity. You know, if you're really curious about this and you're committed to this yoga path and you want change, if you want to become a better you, then you have to cultivate a sensitivity. And that can be hard in a city, you know, where there's a lot of lower vibrations, a lot of traffic noise and a lot of internet and, you know, different wave frequencies going on there that are not really conducive to high vibration. But, you know, you've chosen to live there, so that's what you've got. And you're in a concrete apartment block, surrounded by, you know, concrete and steel and electrical forces, you know, those Faraday kind of forces that you have when you have lots of electrical around you. But that is what it is. But first and foremost, you develop a sensitivity so that you can feel the vibration. And that comes usually from silence. But it also means cleaning yourself up. And I always feel when I want to get into a really pristine state, when I want to a special project and I want to get myself to a higher level, the first thing I look at is my diet. I'm like, okay, I've got to take meat out. I've got to certainly take alcohol and nicotine and any of those kind of things out because they're corrupting influences in terms of vibration, you know. So you look at your diet and you look at, you know, you can't live out of 7-Eleven and expect a really high vibration unless you're the Christ, you know. But you live at the organic health food shop. That's very, very high quality, high vibratory food. You know, it's organic, it's healthy, it's whole. You put that fuel inside you, that's going to transmit into you being more healthy and whole. Of course it is. And then the people that you mix with, your social group, make sure that they're, you know, of a quality that they're not corrupting you, or even disengage from the social group for a while if you want to get more sensitive, and certainly disengage from the media. You know, you can't get hypersensitive to all this stuff if you're stuck into the media for hours and hours every day. So also disengaging from the media and then doing the practices. You know, doing the practices. And the practices to me are just the yoga. I personally would get up and I would do the Tai Chi. I think that I do yoga and I do Tai Chi. You know, and then I go and eat a healthy breakfast. And that's just so important to start the day that way. And I do it in nature because I'm lucky. I live on Koh Yanoi, but I've qualified for that as well. You know, and I feel connected. I feel completely connected to myself, my purpose, who I am at this moment in time, and where I'm supposed to be going. And I'm sensitive to that. And if anything comes across my radar that's going to corrupt that or upset my journey in any way, then I almost have this early warning system that's going, beep, 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 David, watch out, something's coming along. I'm either corrupting myself by doing something wrong and I'm conscious of it and I don't go there, or something or somebody is coming into my world that's going to upset the waves a little bit, and I don't allow them to be it. I just don't communicate with it. I just don't allow it to be in my world. I rise myself above it, basically, And some things you have to deal with, you don't have a choice, But you're developing through the practices, through discipline, through the diet, through the exercise, through the self-regulation, you're developing this sensitive quality to yourself. And quite honestly, when you cultivate a high level of sensitivity, you don't really want to go back down from that, because it feels so really beautiful to be connected to everything in that whole sense. You become more awake. You become more aware. You become more whole as a human being. You become more intelligent. And you wouldn't want to go back from that. So we tend to raise our energy, raise our vibration, raise our sensitivity to certain levels. And we'd call it the plateau. We get to a certain level and then we have to consolidate to that level. It's not realistic just to keep going up and up and up, Otherwise you could just come off the end of the cliff eventually, We go up to a certain level and then we work at that level, don't get complacent to that level, and we go, okay, I've attained that level and I've got some kind of mastery at that level of vibration. And once you feel that you can sustain that quite easily, then you increase the practice again. You get to another level and you get to more awake and more conscious and more sensitive and more coming into your life of a higher quality. And you sustain it at that level, and then you go again, and that's the practice of yoga. That's the yoga journey. It's getting ourselves to higher and higher levels of sensitivity and vibration, and attracting higher and higher quality opportunities into our life, making the most of them, and changing ourselves and changing our world.
It's interesting, my experience when I first started practicing yoga every day, I naturally craved meat less. I naturally craved sugar less. And at the time I was just like, I'm going to listen to my body, but like I'm not becoming vegetarian. I'm not like making it mean anything about me. But the more I practiced, the more I became so sensitive to those energies and to things I was inviting into my life. And I mean, that was just my experience of yoga, but I never really thought that what was causing that was my vibration being raised. Like I wasn't really sure like what was driving that intuitive sensitivity to my own body. But it makes sense that through that physical practice, spirituality aside, like a purely physical practice, that we actually be more aware of what we want and what we need in
well, just saying that the spirituality side of it is consciousness. So there's nothing strange, almost like strange thing to say. There's nothing mystical about spirituality.
Yeah.
Spirituality is just being awake and aware without the mind. It's before the mind. It's being conscious of your environment, being aware of who you are and where you're going, what your purpose is, and how can you conserve. That's spirituality in a nutshell. And like you said, it's a very natural phenomena that the more you go into yoga, into Tai Chi, into these esoteric, higher vibratory practices, the more those those lower vibration habits tend to fall away. The cigarettes, the beer, the meats, the heavier meats and things like that. They tend to naturally, you don't have to abstain from them. You don't need them, and they don't serve you anymore. You try going to a silent meditation retreat and eating a 16, big pound of steak every day. It just doesn't work. All you'll be doing is meditating on that steak going through your digestive tract for 8 hours. It doesn't work. Smoking dope. Some of the Indians are yoga, smoking dope doesn't work. Anything that clouds your consciousness, that dissolves that sensitivity, doesn't work. So there's no artificial means to this. It has to be a completely natural process. So you're right. You do the practices, and it self-regulates. And it's also beholden to, and then we have we've got to have some luxuries, some comforts, along the way. So maybe the coffee in the morning, that's not negotiable. But again, if you're doing a very serious, 10 hours a day meditation, you probably cut the coffee out as well for a while. I wouldn't cut the green tea out. But, heavy use of coffee, caffeine, when you're going into really sensitive words, doesn't work either. And you find you don't need it. It's not like, you're having to I've got to sacrifice that. It's not a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice if you live in your city and you need to drink coffee to get to the office in the morning and do the work. But at a higher level, it doesn't work for you. And it just floats away. It's not there anymore. It's not necessary.
I mean, it's funny when I would do an early morning, a long yoga practice, and I love coffee. Coffee is my favorite thing in the world. But I found that my energy was so high that the idea of having coffee freaked me out. I was like, my heart's going to explode if I have any caffeine right now.
Yeah, you don't need it. Exactly.
Yeah.
You just said it all. The vibration is so high that the vibration
Of coffee would actually disturb you. It would take you into stress mode.
Yeah.
You'd get all anxious and nervous, and your whole energy pattern would get out of sync again because you've raised yourself to a very high, fine vibration, a very beautiful vibration. And consciously, it's like, I don't need anything else. A smoothie, a really healthy smoothie is what you need then. Not strong, heavy coffee.
Yeah.
If you've gotten out of bed and you've got to do something of a lower vibration rate, you're like, okay, where's the coffee first?
Right.
Before we take on this chat. And that's okay as well. Everything for its purpose. If you're there and you've got to dig trenches all day and lay pipes, or put roofing tiles on all day long, there's a project going on, you're like, well, get the coffee going first, because we've got some mundane physical work to do, on the lower vibratory plane. But if you're going to the high vibratory planes, which is what we're talking about, then it naturally self-regulates. And you can test and play with these things, but, it becomes very obvious after a while as you develop that sensitivity. That sensitivity, that innate knowingness tells you what you can and can't do.
Well, and like you said, as your vibration changes, those things are going to change too.
Of course they do. Everything, like you said, everything has the vibration,
Wine probably is vibrating at a higher level than beer. Kind of thing, that's a vibratory rate. Green tea, high quality green tea is probably vibrating at a higher level than coffee, unless it's Jamaican coffee, which is very high vibration. But also, going away from that, I would also, something we're missing out on here, I think spending time in nature, and I'm talking pure nature, as pure as you can find. We're so lucky we live on the beach on an island in the tropics here. We go out there at 5:30 every morning, we're watching the sunrise, we're starting to watch the tides coming in, there's waves, there's currents, there's fishermen out there, the dawn chorus of the birds singing, we're on this beautiful golden sand, You can't help but raise your vibration to that. Just being there just raises your energy, raises your vibration, opens your mind, and then you do the practices in that environment. So I would also say, take time in nature. It'll silence and still your mind, it'll nurture your body, and it'll raise your body. And that's, again, what the Beach Boys were singing about. They were talking about surfing, nature, and girls. Nature. Beautiful girls. Yeah. So
I think also what I'm finding to be one of the best benefits of the current moment is that all of a sudden all these things that I associated with myself and my identity are being taken away from me, like my ability to travel, my friends, like the people I normally spend time with, even certain foods in certain restaurants.
Yeah.
And what I'm finding is that suddenly I'm spending so much time in my own energy that I am becoming more sensitive to my own energy in that sense.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, now that things are starting to move back to normal, what are things we can be doing to maintain
I was going to say, keep it going.
This vibration, to keep it going.
Keep it going. Don't go back into the old habits. That's a great question, because
people have had the opportunity, and are still having the opportunity in a lot of places in the world, to isolate and to have to go within. And you should be doing the work now. There's no question about it. If you're not doing the yoga practices every day, and hopefully twice a day, then you're wasting an amazing opportunity. You're wasting a golden opportunity. Now is the time to go within and get these practices going. And then it's our responsibility, just like you were saying, we're going back, we may be moving back, maybe halfway through this year, certainly by the end of the year, back into our relatively old patterns of behavior. You've got to take the new world with you. You've got to take the new habits, the new behaviors, the cultivated habits, the sensitivities, the higher vibration with you. You can't go back to the old way. What was the point of all this if you go back? What was the point of all the trauma and the drama and the suffering? Suffering is change. It's forced upon us. But we have to go through this, and then we rise above it, and we see why, we see the benefits of it, and we take the positives from it, and we cultivate all of these amazing practices, and then we take them back out into the free world, and we've got more power. We've got more power to use these in a highly creative way, with sharing it with more people and being more dynamic in the world. And you can't be like that if you haven't cultivated any practices. If you haven't cultivated a powerful energy field and a sensitivity and a higher consciousness and an awakened mind, then what are you going to take into the new world? You haven't done any work, you haven't done the changes. So now is the time to cultivate, to change the diet, to have the exercise going, to get up earlier, to cultivate more meaningful relationships, to make sure that you're going to go back into a meaningful career, to disengage from the media responsibly every day and only connect responsibly. And then you take those merits, those disciplines, back into the new world. And that's purely, it's our choices. But I think in the old world we didn't have choices because we didn't know. We didn't know where we were going, and we didn't know how much we were corrupting ourselves, and going down some crazy path. And now the universe, the intelligent universe, has put a big stop on things for 12 months, and it's going, guys, humanity, take a look at where you're going. Is this intelligent? We're giving you a breathing space. There's a pause here. Now, use that pause well and wisely. Cultivate some energy. Learn to cultivate that energy, and learn how to do it so that you can replicate at any time. It doesn't matter where you are, in a city, in a country, on a mountaintop. You can do these inner practices, raise your vibration, and then you'll always find the solution. And the solution to the problem is always at a higher level than the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is here, and our job as yogis is to rise our energy to the solution, which is always a higher vibration. And that's Deepak Chopra, that's Eternal Tao, but it's also David Hawkins. We've talked about famous authors, and David Hawkins, who talked about a sliding scale of consciousness. He's very famous for saying, your problems, and the things that are corrupting you have a vibratory rate. And it's beholden to us as yogis to raise ourselves to a higher level of vibration so that we can see what's really going on and we can see the solutions to our problems. So that's what we should be doing now. We see our problems, it's COVID-19 and it's this virus and it's this drama around it. And what we've been doing to our world, our inner world, and our environmental world. And we've got time now to raise ourselves up above the level of the problem, above COVID-19 and all the drama, and see where we should be going. And as a whole planet, as a whole planetary tribe, we should be doing that together. And there's leaders coming along now who are showing us the way, and yoga schools like us show us the way. We have the practices. You can come and study online with us. You can come and visit us when we're open again, But do the practices now, and then you're ready. You're ready to off the starting blocks, and you go into a whole different level of attainment as a yogi. And that's to me, that's why we're put on planet Earth in the first place. We're here to evolve, we're here to change, we're here to grow, we're here to become creative, we're here to have a meaningful and sustainable and holistic and whole life, So now is the time to do all of these practices.
Good vibration.
Good vibration. I mean, something you said just now that really resonated with me is this idea that the suffering that we endure now but throughout our lives really only has meaning if we can learn from it.
Of course.
What was the point of all of this unless we do change?
Unless we make some changes.
We're able to grow or become better out of it.
Yeah, that's evolution. To us, that's evolution. We talk about
evolutionary yoga. That's what yoga is supposed to do. It takes us on an evolutionary journey so that we're becoming more conscious, more awake, smarter, less conditioned, and more able to be in this moment, making conscious choices, smart conscious choices about where we want to go and what we want to do. So now's the time. We don't have any, there's no reason why everybody can't do these things now. We can work on our fitness levels, we can work on our diet, we can work on our whole raising our vibration. We can work on relationships, we can work on our future aspirations and our intentions. It's all there for us.
Well, I think in a sense, it can actually be like so simple in the sense that like we do have a sense of what are the things that bring us joy and what are the things that make us feel good, and how do we build a life and build routines and build a foundation that incorporates those things, those people, those foods. My journey has been so much like other people's journeys, where I was told I had to go to college like this and get the job like this and be in a relationship like this and live in a house like this. And when I finally achieved all those things, I realized how unhappy I was and how that had nothing to do with who I was as a person. And the whole process was, for me, of unraveling it, was what are the things that I love? What are the things that make me happy? And how do I reincorporate those things? And eventually those things became my life. And in a sense, that was the yogic journey, even though I didn't know what yoga was at the time.
Yeah. So what you're talking about there is finding your authentic soul nature. So again, for people at home now is the time to disengage from the old you and find the authentic you, find the real you. The you that's yearning to express itself from your soul nature, and that's going within. That's finding the inner person. Who am I? Through meditation, through the practices of yoga, through the transformation of diet, of cultivating good, all of the stuff that we've been talking about. You find the real you, and then you don't go back along that old path anymore. Like I said, you can't. All of us have done the cultural thing, culture and family and tribe says you've got to do this and do this and do this. You've got to go to college, you've got to have a house and 2 kids and a mortgage and all this other stuff, And some people walk a little bit down that road, some people walk a long way down that road. For some people, it's the right road. For a lot of them, that's how they're supposed to be. They want to conform to society, They want to be part of the mainstream of the tribe, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking that. For other people, they want to be more individual. They want to be more just themselves and make their own way in there without disturbing the status quo of the conformist world. But they want to become yogis, They don't want to be, obviously different. They just want to be themselves. They want to be authentic. They want to be real. They want to be true to themselves, Because when you're not true to yourself, your soul is in pain. Your soul is crying because you're not expressing yourself in an honest way. You're not being truthful. And, let's not make any bones about this. The journey of yoga is the journey into truth. It's into unconditional truth, of who am I and how am I expressing myself in the world, and am I being real? Or am I faking it? Am I just getting by and doing what culture says I should do so that I'm looking okay? And we do a certain part of that, in our earlier years, but eventually it doesn't cut it anymore. We have to find our true purpose, our true soul nature, which means going within, clearing out all the junk, all the old conditioned behaviors, all the ego attachments, and then it's almost like this metamorphosis into this new being, this new person, this new, and certainly new age we're going to go into. But you want to be like a born again into this new age in a higher consciousness way. And that born again, that reinventing yourselves and becoming authentic, there's no question about it, it's going to be a higher vibration. There's going to be a higher quality you emerging from this. It has to be that way. If it's not that way, why have we done all this? So all of us as yogis are trying to do that. We're all working on our practices a lot and working on our future plans and our aspirations for the future and our intentions. And that's what we're saying to people out there now. Now is the time where you go within and you find out what the real you is, and you be honest about it, and you bag the old one, and you bring out the new one, and you cultivate it, and you keep cultivating it until it becomes your full nature. It becomes your full identity. You've become the real you. And it feels amazing. It feels marvelous. It's unassailable, actually. When you're expressing yourself from your soul nature, nothing can assail you, nothing can corrupt you, because you're walking your path in the real light of the real you.
And that's the highest vibration.
That's yoga.
That's yoga.
That's yoga. That's the purpose of yoga.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I think the best way we can close today is to send some good vibrations to the people watching at home. Is there something we can do to actually send vibrations? Is that just something they say in the songs, or is there a practice for gifting vibrations outward?
In this context, I'm not sure. Sitting here, I mean, our gift, I think, is our inspiration. As you and I talk, we're raising our vibration, we're opening ourselves up, we're bearing our souls, and we're trying to be inspiring to other people, So that's our gift. That's our and I feel that when you get something like this, somebody gives you a very inspired dialogue or an understanding or a teaching, then first of all you take it and you make it your own in your own way, and you transform yourself, and then you have to give that inspiration out. First you take the light, you cultivate the light, and then you become the light. So that's what we're really saying to you. Listen to us and listen to Joe Dispenza, Deepak Chopra, and all the other great teachers that are out there. Do the classes, do the works, do all the inner work, and then come back out shining your light, And, as Nelson Mandela said in his opening speech to the New South Africa, you don't serve the world by playing small. There's nothing good about playing small in the world. It doesn't serve. You serve the world by shining your light, because by shining your light, you give other people permission to shine their light as well. And there's nothing better than that.
And you can do right now from home.
Exactly. You start transforming and people notice it unconsciously, just energetically. They'll start feeling there's something different about that person. They're changing, and I like the change. And they'll be intimidating to some people, and that's okay. They won't come too near you. But other people, higher quality people, will gravitate towards you because they're at that vibration. So as you raise your vibration, you're calling in higher and higher energies, higher and higher frequencies, because you're shining your light, and light is attractive. I mean, Nelson Mandela said, become gorgeous. It's a great thing to say. Become gorgeous, become magnificent, shine your light. Give other people permission to shine their light as well. So that's really what we should be doing from this place now. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us at home. Tune in next week, same time, same place, and we look forward to sharing more with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.